My brothers and sisters, welcome. Pro-life leader Frank Pavone here. This is my daily diary segment where I tell you what I did each day from morning to night, exercise and accountability, and also celebration of our work. So Wednesday, February 7th, 2024 through Sunday, February 11th. What did I do during these days? They were mostly taken up with a national pro-life leaders meeting that we hosted right here at our headquarters, but let me go through the details. Actually, the morning of the 7th, I woke up in Tallahassee, Florida at our state capitol because there was a oral arguments going on in the Florida Supreme Court about whether to let that abortion ballot initiative get on the ballot. They were looking at whether it was too vague, too broad. And so together with Florida Voice for the Unborn and various other Florida pro-life groups, we had a rally in front of the court. So we went early over to the courthouse and I got together with and spent time networking with leaders from all across the state as some of them were on their way to go inside the court. We were getting ready outside the court to have the rally right on the steps. And I was the keynote speaker at that rally, very privileged to do so. I told people there, gathered there, that we should not allow the spin, a story that, America is turning against pro-life. That is not the case at all. I went through the reasons for confidence, all the different victories, and then networked a lot with the other people who were there. And then I spoke at the press conference that followed immediately after the rally. Once the arguments were finished and the attorneys came out, the attorneys spoke first to the press, but then I shared some remarks as well. Once that was done and we did a little bit more taping for our news program, my staff person Rico and I got back into the car and we made the 4-hour drive back to Titusville, stopping on the way halfway for lunch, being on the phone with staff members while on that trip back. And had a phone call, for example, with our finance director. She had to give me some updates. And got back here to the office. And once I did, leaders were starting to arrive for our leadership meeting. So I greeted some of those who had already arrived. But then I had to come in here to the studio to do a couple of tapings for the following day. So I came in here to the studio, did some tapings, and then went back and started networking with all the various national pro-life leaders who began arriving, and we had an evening reception for them and dinner and wonderful time of networking. Now, we had about 50 leaders come here, and so Wednesday night, the 7th, was hospitality. Thursday, the 8th, began our meeting. So we began early in the morning. By the way, also on Wednesday, as I was being driven back to the office, I had to do some work on my emails and on my computer dealing with topics like approving mailings going out from Priests for Life, following up on the Good Shepherd seminar that we had, approving appeal letters, having more plans in place for the leaders that were coming, approving an election-related email, and also approving a draft of the What We Are Doing section of our website that gives you an insight into what the various departments are working on at any given time. Thursday the 8th began early and all day with this leadership meeting. So the schedule, which I have here, began with the leaders started arriving at about 7:30 in the morning. We had meetings regarding updates on federal legislation, state legislation, court litigation on pro-life, judicial appointments, various updates from various groups. We talked about state amendments about abortion. We had some state leaders here giving updates. I gave an update on our national survey that we conducted with the McLaughlin Group. Various groups gave good of the order updates. I met individually with leaders. We did some taping with leaders here in the studio. Towards the end of the day, we had a taping with Abby Johnson. That was very good. So Abby was one of the presenters, and we did a program with her towards the end of the afternoon. And then we had a nice reception again for the leaders, followed by a nice dinner. And just the networking was fantastic. It's a great family reunion. These are leaders we work with throughout the year, of groups that you would know. On my email, I had to also take care of approving another email going out from Priests for Life and also some follow-up work regarding our national survey. Friday the 9th was another full day of meetings with the leaders. So we had two main themes that we focused on: 2024 elections and state ballot initiatives on abortion. So we started gathering at 8:30 in the morning. We had a meeting from 9 to 10:30, then we had a break. Then we had a meeting from 11 to 12, then lunch. Then we had a meeting from 1 to 3, then a break, 3:30 to 5, and then we broke for evening reception and dinner. During those meeting times, I led the discussions with the help of a couple of other leaders and also our executive director, Janet, about how do we pool our resources, how do we make a difference, how do we mobilize millions of pro-life voters, how do we encourage them, and how do we get out the vote. I also had side meetings with various staff and had to do work along those lines as well. I presented to them the results of a survey we did just of the leaders, and those are always helpful exercises so that the group knows where the group stands on various strategic questions. I had to do some work also in between these meetings at my computer, connection with a pro-life historian that wants my input on certain questions. Getting ready for a presentation that we're going to give later in the week to the Abortion Recovery Coalition. Preparation for an upcoming Council for National Policy meeting. Approval of appeals going out, mini catalogs going out from Priests for Life. Also, at the same time, working on the pastoral team meeting schedule, which would be the following week. That's of our Priests for Life team. Working on the broadcast schedule for the following week. Approving a parish fax to go out to all the churches. Arranging for visit of some high donors, and also arranging for an interview for Alveda King. Sometimes the requests are made of us to connect with her. Great day, Friday the 9th with the pro-life leaders, and as I said, dinner there at night with them. Saturday the 10th, our pro-life leadership meeting continued. So the whole first half of the day was essentially doing the same thing we did on Friday, hammering out our strategy and our activities and our joint actions regarding the elections of 2024, and also hammering out strategy and joint action on the ballot initiative battles in various states. Worked on the joint leaders statement that we're having them sign on to. More work on the Abortion Recovery Coalition presentation. Some work on the Pro-Life University. I did some of these things at my desk during the break times. Then when the meeting was finished, we had a nice lunch meeting at a nearby restaurant on the river. So we had about 5 or 6 pro-life leaders join us for that lunch. I had to take a phone call from the assistant to Bishop Strickland, and so I was on the phone for a good 40 minutes or so there midday, but then rejoined the leadership lunch. And then after that lunch, we came back to the office here, and my executive director, Janet, and together with Shari Richard, pro-life ultrasound pioneer, we had a business and planning meeting here at our office for about 90 minutes or so. And then I took the time to go do some late afternoon shopping. Had to restock some things in the kitchen here, and also some work at my desk and some light work later in the day. I was very tired after all these leadership meetings, and concluded the day. Then finally, Sunday the 11th, I was here, of course, Lord's Day, worship, morning worship, scripture live presentation here at 10 a.m. Went on the air, did some other tapings and preparations for tapings, and had to do just a lot of work from the point of view of getting ready for the coming weeks of activity. Some of the other things, the pastoral team schedule, so getting that prepared. The webpage, requesting of the staff some revisions, and also the prospecting process. That is the process by which we mail out to new prospective donors. I did some writing as well, and then just some organizing that I had to do, and sort of readjusting back from going into the leadership meeting mode back into regular business mode. And I was quite tired that day actually as well. Got some lunch at a nearby restaurant on the river, and went to bed early. So that was the activity I undertook from the 7th to the 11th of February of 2024. We'll always be accountable to you. We'll always be accountable to the Lord. Let's work hard together for the end of abortion. Speak to you soon.